USC observes Denim Day every year, and this year is no exception. See why millions around the world recognize this cause.
Find out why activists marched in South LA today to protest what they say is harassment of local tenants.
The next time you stay in an Airbnb, you may want to check to see if it's legal. We'll explain. Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
That it doesn't matter what you have on, it is not okay to be sexually assaulted. That cannot be used as a defense against sexual violence.
Today is National Denim Day, when millions of people around the world wear jeans with a purpose. Good evening, I'm Savannah Welch reporting outside in Oklahoma City.
And I'm Annalise Tuscan reporting from Los Angeles. Denim Day started back in 1999 when an Italian Supreme Court overturned a rape conviction. Judges said the victim's tight jeans were the reason for the assault.
Reporter Lillian Gonzalez shows us how this day is meant to raise awareness around sexual violence.
USC Student Health is distributing Denim Day pins to raise awareness on sexual assault. The USC Director for Relationship and Sexual Violence Prevention believes Denim Day is about stopping victim blaming and holding people accountable.
We need to start talking about these issues. I mean, even when we're talking about sexual assault awareness, people don't feel very comfortable even talking about incest.
To stand in solidarity with victims, people from all over the world post photos of themselves wearing jeans on social media.
And so we want to raise awareness. And so just starting these conversations, if wearing your jeans is a way to, people say, well, why do you wear your jeans? And people have an opportunity to start to talk about what is the history of sexual violence and what are some of the rape myths that are out there perpetuating and supporting sexual violence.
USC student Emma Collins believes Denim Day is an opportunity for people to continue educating themselves.
I think a lot of us consider ourselves exempt from rape culture and exempt from these really harmful pillars in our society that hold up and in a way condone violence and sexual violence. And so I think it's just so important for us to recognize that we're all bystanders and we can choose to be pro-social, helpful and uplifting bystanders, or we can choose to be bystanders that are standing by and doing nothing.
The director of prevention and policy at the nonprofit organization Peace Over Violence says their mission is to build healthy relationships and free families and communities from sexual, domestic, and interpersonal violence.
Domestic violence and sexual violence have often been ignored. And there are a lot of myths around sexual and domestic violence that are really incorrect and can be harmful to communities and survivors who have been impacted by them.
Dr. Ingram says this is an issue that affects everyone. It's not just an issue women face. It impacts everyone from children to elderly, from rich to poor. In Los Angeles, for Annenberg Media, I'm Lillian Gonzalez.
A plan to create a campaign against anti-Asian hate speech was approved today by the Los Angeles City Council. According to the LAPD, anti-Asian American and Pacific Islander hate crimes increased by 114% in Los Angeles last year.
Because of either cultural reasons or for many mistrust, a lot of people don't report these things. And so this campaign is going to be about getting that message out and how to recognize where to go, who to talk to, where to call.
Any kind of campaign that's going to raise awareness is a good thing. But, and this is a but, the violence continues to happen. These incidents are happening multiple times a day, these anti-Asian hate incidents all over the country. And there's a level of frustration that is really overflowing now. And it makes me nervous.
The motion was unanimous and said that the rise in violence is part of a, quote, coordinated barrage of racist anti-AAPI conspiracy theories that are related to the COVID-19 virus.
The motion was unanimous and said that the rise in violence is part of a, quote, coordinated barrage of racist anti-AAPI coronavirus conspiracy theories related to the COVID-19 virus.
Some Los Angeles tenants say their apartment manager has been harassing them. Reporter Martin Weiss takes us to a protest where one resident shared why she's so frustrated.
Tenant right advocates from the Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment led a protest this afternoon in support of a community in the South Park neighborhood of South LA. Veronica Arias says her apartment building manager has been harassing her and other tenants for over 3 years. Veronica says the harassment has intensified as the pandemic has endured. Despite rent protections in place by the city, she says those who can afford to pay the full rent get preferential treatment.
Yo tenía problemas psicológicos porque mi caso estaba en una corte de desalojo, no tenía trabajo, mi esposo no estaba trabajando, tengo un niño pequeño y tenía miedo de ser echada a la calle por una mentira que ella inventó.
Other tenants have complained of lengthy delays for repairs, and although legally they are entitled to parking spaces, allegedly the manager has told some to park on the street. Residents want their manager fired and are calling on the CEO of 1010 Development to do it.
Beginning, and we're not going to stop until we get that girl removed. She's not professional. You know her better.
Okay. You guys know you guys have received like a bunch of complaints from all buildings about her. What's the issue? Why is it taking so long?
Annenberg Media reached out to the apartment manager and 1010 Developments, but did not receive a response. Protesters want the city of Los Angeles to adopt a new tenant anti-harassment law that would impose stiff penalties on landlords who abuse their tenants. Things like failing to make repairs, refusing rent payments, and threatening to report a tenant's immigration status would come with penalties up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine.
President Biden is unveiling his second trillion-dollar budget plan to Congress tonight. It is the twin to his previous infrastructure budget, but it targets children, families, and education. It's called the American Families Plan and would cost $1.8 trillion. The proposal would include universal paid preschool. It would also provide free tuition for 2-year community college. Low-income and middle-income families would get financial support for childcare. And some of the pandemic measures will continue, including many Affordable Care Act subsidies. An assistant professor who specializes in early child development explains the implications of Biden's new plan.
The evidence of the impact of early childhood education, or sometimes called preschool, is abundant. We know that the return on investment for preschool is really high. Kids who complete preschool are much more likely to complete high school and to go on to college. One thing that's really important to keep in mind, though, is it's not just access, just like with any education, it's not just access to education, it's access to good quality education. So unless we invest on creating an even playing field around quality, we could still have differences for kids who are going to more affluent schools.
The proposal was met with excitement from Biden's Democratic colleagues and pushback from Republicans. With an evenly divided Senate, the bold plan's future is uncertain.
LA County could move into the least restrictive tier of California's reopening plan as early as next week. The county's daily new COVID-19 cases met the requirements for the yellow tier yesterday, but LA will have to keep its rate at or below the current rate for another week before it can officially make the move. In the yellow tier, restaurants, wineries, breweries, and movie theaters can all increase their capacity to 50%. Gyms, yoga, and dance studios can also expand indoor attendance from 25% to 50%. Other businesses that can open include amusement parks, which will open to over a third capacity, outdoor seated live events to 2/3, and bars not serving food to 25% capacity.
USC's Gold School of Law has created 2 new specialized undergraduate minors that will be offered in the fall. The new courses were developed in response to the increase of protests about social injustice. The 2 minors that will be offered are Law and Social Justice Studies and Law and Migration Studies. Gold faculty created these minors for students who have an interest in learning about how the law can help those who are disadvantaged.
We crafted these 2 minors in large part looking at the challenges facing our country. Our whole vision for teaching law to undergrads is letting students learn about how law affects their daily lives. And we want people graduating from USC to be sophisticated consumers of law. You know, these are not designed to be pre-law programs. These are designed obviously for people who are interested in law school, but as much for people who aren't going to law school when they're out there being leaders.
Rasmussen says law should be a conversation starter, not a conversation ender. He believes these minors demystify the idea that you have to be a lawyer to understand law.
Dozens of Airbnbs across Los Angeles are breaking the law and disrupting communities. Reporter Alexis Gebhardt talked to angry neighbors who say nothing is being done about these illegal rentals.
Image that Airbnb has, and then use it in their marketing, and they have, incredible marketing of, oh, it's just a spare room. It's not real. It's not.
A 2015 Lane study found nearly 90% of Airbnb's profit in Los Angeles comes from landowners renting out 2 or more houses or apartments. This is illegal. The home sharing ordinance regulations adopted by LA City Council in July 2019 requires an Airbnb to be host primary residence for at least 6 months of the year and cannot be in a rent-controlled property. The organization No Olympics started a campaign called Locks on My Block in January to highlight the number of illegal short-term rentals, specifically Airbnbs across LA.
Locks on My Block is a organizing tool for tenants and for renters to tell their stories. And it was made with a organization, Anti-Eviction Mapping, to map out different illegal Airbnbs throughout the city to show where this short-term rental displacement was happening.
Illegal or not, Airbnbs like this one behind me can create massive disturbances to the communities they are in, disrupting daily life and potentially affecting property value. A longtime Silver Lake resident Daryl Kitagawa sees this firsthand. He lives next to multiple illegal Airbnbs owned by the same landlord for years.
The house has been used over the last year in particular, and during COVID, it's been used for parties, large gatherings, where it's essentially a hotel, and you have people coming in 3 or 4 times a week, new people, and they're coming, they're parking all over the place. It creates a disturbance. It creates, it's not a sustainable community that we live in that way.
He is not alone in this. His complaint highlights a larger housing issue happening in Los Angeles.
All these units are rent stabilization units. They could be housing real people and people who need housing, need affordable housing. So that's the bigger issue.
The co-founder of the Home Share Alliance Los Angeles disagrees. She thinks that the regulations are too harsh on property owners.
Short-term rental hosts have been regulated too much, in my opinion, because again, they cut out all the mom and pop hosts that were doing rent stabilized, owner occupied.
But illegal Airbnbs often not only take away the potential for affordable housing, they also force current residents to move out.
You see them starting to turn 3/4, residential, and then full on. People are being evicted and being forced out. And then what happens is that drives the price up in the entire neighborhood, and that's how you get, mass displacement.
If you know of a suspicious listing or want to learn more, go to locks.netlify.app and share your story. For Annenberg Media, I'm Alexis Gebhardt.
Chipotle Mexican Grill is helping celebrate healthcare workers throughout the U.S. by giving away 250,000 burritos. Nurses, medical workers, and hospital employees are eligible to receive a free burrito. They can sign up through ID Me with the link on Chipotle's website. Registration opens tomorrow at 10 a.m. The first 250,000 to apply will get their free burrito. If you cannot pick up your burrito in person, Chipotle will deliver it to your workplace. It's unclear if Chipotle will be providing guac for the ducks on the burritos.
COVID forced most theater companies to shut down. Reporter Cambry Guest has a story of one community theater that's staying open even though its doors are closed.
Say nay and then maybe and then all right.
A wacky musical version of the Cinderella story has been playing to sold-out crowds at the Santa Monica Playhouse for nearly 40 years. and no pandemic is going to get in the way of that.
First, we just said we have to do something. We have to get something out there because people have to remember who we are and not lose us.
But as they say in the theater, the show must go on. The Playhouse is moving from the main stage to the virtual stage with a reimagined performance of Cinderella.
It's the perfect vehicle for families to share with each other.
Nearly 250,000 entertainers and artists lost their jobs in 2020. Performing arts took the greatest hit. Revenues declined 54% from the previous year. The Santa Monica Playhouse is one of many small theaters scraping by on loans, donations, and rent extensions.
Our income is about 5 to 10% of what it usually is. People always talk about Chicago and New York as the theater cities, but Los Angeles actually has more intimate theaters than just about any other city in the world. And unfortunately, they are the ones that are the hardest hit.
This month, Cinderella kicks off the theater's 2021 Safe at Home online series.
We had 3 cameras, so we were working with. We didn't have like there's no steady cam, there's no guy walking around like getting close-ups for us. It's really trying to know our limitations and make it look good with what we had.
We're theater artists, and our patrons and the people who've supported us for this long, theater goers. So we're trying to give them that experience of going to the theater while still being at home.
25 years ago, Cinderella gave Graham Silbert the kind of fairy tale break actors dream about.
When I was 12 or 13, I was working in the Young Professionals Company. We just learned the show from running tech for it.
Without any further ado, on with the show.
When his stepsister couldn't go on, young Graham went from backstage to onstage. Since then,
Played the prince, I played the king, and then I played Cinderella last summer.
Now that LA County has moved into the orange tier, some outdoor performances will be allowed with a limited audience. And starting April 15th, theaters can reopen indoor performances. To attend, guests just need to show proof of full vaccination or get tested. For Annenberg Media, I'm Cambry Guest, reporting from Santa Monica.
Hi, I'm Lachelle Smith reporting from Los Angeles. The NFL 2021 draft is less than 24 hours away, and there are 7 notable Trojans that can see their dreams come true very soon. Offensive lineman Elijah Vera Tucker has been at the top of a lot of draft talks, with teams needing help at guard or tackle. During his time at USC, Vera Tucker won multiple honors in the Pac-12 and was named USC's Offensive Lineman of the Year in 2019. Standout wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown looks to bring his quick route running ability to his future NFL team. Named USC captain in 2020, St. Brown is ranked 11th on USC's career receptions list, ending his collegiate career with 178 catches for more than 2,000 yards and 16 touchdowns. 6'2" wide receiver Tyler Vaughns is aiming to take his stellar catching ability to the NFL. During his time with the Trojans, Vaughns had 189 receptions for nearly 2,500 yards and 17 touchdowns.
Hi, I'm Sydney Rocket reporting from Annenberg Media Sports for the last time. The excitement continues on defense as 4 USC defensive players are also declared for tomorrow's draft. First up, defensive lineman Jay Tufele. He had a standout 2019 season, starting all 13 games and recording 6.5 tackles per game, but opted out of the 2020 season. He showed off at Pro Day in front of scouts last month, showcasing his strength and agility. Next, we have Marlon Tuipulotu. He got a chance to shine in the 2020 football season because of Tufele's absence. In the 6-game 2020 season, he finished with 23 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, Talanoa Hufanga, plays with toughness and can handle zone cover duties and matchups on inline tight ends. Last season, the safety showed off his strength, finishing with 62 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, and 4 interceptions. Elijah Griffin is an aggressive and confident cornerback, but injury history and smaller size may be major concerns for teams. He is, however, a regulator in man coverage, allowing a 42% completion rate in his last 2 seasons. We're joined again with my co-host Lachelle Smith to discuss our predictions for the Trojans in the draft. First up, we have Elijah Vera Tucker. Now, Lachelle, what round do you have him getting drafted?
I have Elijah Vera Tucker being drafted in the first round, day 1. Some are saying the Giants. I think it's there.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to agree with you on that one. Next up, we have Jay Tufele. I feel like he's going to be an round 3 pick. What about you?
I'm going to say round 4, round 5. Not too positive about some of the things that I've seen just in his collegiate career. I think there's more, but I'm saying 4 or 5.
Let's go to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Lachelle, where do you have him?
I had him going in the 3rd round, but after his pro day and seeing his 40 time, I'm dropping him to round 5.
Round 5?
Round 5.
I think he's going to be late 3rd, early 4th. I don't know about round 5. And next up, we have Marlon Tuipulotu. I have him going round 4, maybe late round 3.
I'm going to give him the same thing just because of his size and a lot of the things that he's done at USC.
And then we have Tyler Vaughns. I personally have him going undrafted.
I also have him going undrafted. Pro day was really tough for him, which didn't really show his athletic ability to catch the ball, which he was known for at USC.
And then we have Talanoa Hufanga.
I have him a late round 3, early round 4 type of guy. He's shown a lot, and I think he's going to be really successful in the NFL.
I agree with you on this. He has a lot to prove, but he's really talented. And lastly, we have Elijah Griffin. Might be another Trojan that will go undrafted.
I definitely agree. His pro day wasn't the best. Also, there's a lot of really good defensive backs in this draft class, and I don't know if he measures up to their ability that they've shown throughout their careers.
Well, we're all going to have to wait and see just how these Trojans do in the draft tomorrow. For the final time this semester, that's all for sports. Now let's toss it back to news.
Welcome to our last week of Wine Wednesday.
This is our last time bridging generational gaps through pop culture discussions.
You'll never believe what happened to me today. So I'm going into work like any other normal day, and I walk up to my office, and there's this blue-haired liberal man standing out front, holding up a pro-abortion sign, and he walks up to one of my coworkers and asks her to sign a petition. And I'm not normally a confrontational person, but I just walked right up to him and I said, "Excuse me, you're a hell of a guy. I mean, my, you're like Pelican Fly. I mean, you're so shy and I'm loving your tie. You're like..."
Well, unfortunately, I think a lot of those platforms, not just TikTok, but a lot of those platforms allow for, people who are sort of extreme one way or the other.
Can you young people interpret why that song what was there some hidden meaning there? Why that song was? The whole point of youth culture is to repudiate what came before, and to confuse the people who made the previous culture. So success, I have no idea what that was about. I have no idea why it was popular. I've heard of the performing artist. I know she's supposed to be great. Never heard the song.
Okay, I did a little research and figured out what the TikTok is supposed to be about.
Oh, good. What does it say?
Hashtag Barbs for Bernie is essentially Nicki Minaj fans that are very for Bernie Sanders.
You know how a lot of people will share articles without actually reading them just because the headline is oh, what I believe or what I think this is going to be about.
I like the ones with babies. They're just so cute, when babies do funny things. It just makes me feel good.
There was a freshman girl that I was working with on Trojan Vision that was talking about this one TikTok and something about e-girls and e-boys, and I was like, I don't even know what this means.
They look like that, and it says, yeah.
I think they all look like Edward Scissorhands. Do you find that attractive, Henry? The colored hair? I kind of don't.
I don't judge people's hair. Look at mine. Look at this color. I mean, I don't feel I have any standing.
Well, thanks for joining us for our last week of Wine Wednesday.
We hope you enjoyed ourselves as much as we did, and thank you to Sandy and Henry. We hope you didn't scar you emotionally.
I'll get over it.
Oh my.
Her name's Presley.
As the school year comes to a close, some graduating students are giving love a chance. A new dating platform called Senior Scramble could mean that students leave with a degree and a new partner. We talked to the USC students who created the service.
What makes us unique is that we don't have an algorithm and don't limit the number of matches you can make.
And also there's really no fear of rejection because the other person will not necessarily see that you have send them a request unless they send you a request back.
There is kind of a sense of urgency, and there is a sense of, this is really your last chance. I think if it had started earlier, it might not be getting as much traction because people would say, oh, well, I have all semester to meet new people.
Graduating USC seniors can use Senior Scramble to reconnect with friends or meet new people. Once you match with someone, you will be able to reach out to them. You can sign up for free on their website by creating an account with your USC email. You can then add a profile picture. To sign up now, go to uscseniorscramble.com to start scrambling.
Not only is this our last week on ATBN, but it's our last week as USC students.
I can't believe it. It went so quickly. It honestly felt like it was over before it started. It went by so fast.
It's certainly been a wild ride, especially with Zoom and everything, but I've loved a lot of it, and congratulations to everybody graduating.
Yeah, to everybody who's graduating with us, we'll see you at the Coliseum.
That's it for Annenberg TV News. Thanks so much for watching.
From everyone at Annenberg Media, have a great night.